Hello and welcome back to the channel. Jacob Payton here, and we'll be talking about Waiting Spirits by Bruce Coville. This is of course part of the Dark Forces series, which is a bit of an advanced middle grade book. It's somewhere age-wise in between Goosebumps and Fear Street. It's not as aimed at younger kids as like a Goosebumps book, but it also isn't as gory as a Fear Street book. This of course is an older book. This came out when, you know, those young adult horror lines were super popular. Bruce Coville, I do believe, wrote in several different young adult horror lines. I think he also did a book about a D&D game that went wrong, and that is a book that I do want to track down and read because I love tabletop games, and that just seems like something right up my alley and something that would be fun to read. This book, however, is definitely not that. It does have this beautiful cover with like this floating candle, and then we have like a ghostly hand coming out to grab the main character, or I'm assuming it's supposed to be the main character. That is something I actually really like about the Dark Forces series. They all tend to have these really beautiful illustrated covers. And I'll be honest, I like a lot of the Dark Forces series more than I would say the Fear Street books. Obviously nothing can really come into like the awesomeness, which is like the Tim Jacobus Goosebumps covers, but the Dark Forces covers I think really match the energy that like horror books at this time period were doing. I mean, if you think of like, you know, the skeletons and stuff on zebra paperbacks at this time, I mean, like the black background, the ghostly hand, like this could very easily, with, you know, a different typeface, a little more gore, could have been an adult book, like cover wise. Obviously it's not, but cover wise, you know, this screams horror. And I don't think, you know, in a way that I think you could easily have maybe been confused and think like, oh, this is for a much older person or much like more of a teenager, until you read it, and it's very not. The actions obviously are very juvenile, the main character, which is what it's supposed to be. This is obviously, once again, a kid's book or a preteen book. But yeah, it's not Fear Street. I will say that again and again. It's not Fear Street. It's not a Christopher Pike book. At no point really do we get the vibe that like a main character is going to die. And I think that's important because I think that it's kind of where the tension stays, right? There's an amount of tension, but it's never to the point where I actually think there's going to be dire consequences. Most of the stress in this book comes from the grandmother basically gaslighting everybody. And to kind of clarify on that, I'll read the back of the book. Lisa and her younger sister Carrie are totally bored by their seaside vacation until their grandmother shows them a strange new game, something called automatic writing, which enables Lisa to contact the spirit world. To her shock, an eerie message spells out terrible danger. Shaken by the nightmare experience, Lisa promises she'll never try it again. Then she meets Brian, who reveals a chilling secret. Lisa's summer home is known to be haunted by a ghostly female. Although frightened, Lisa becomes trapped by her own curiosity. She knows that if she tries to contact the demon force, she'll be consumed, mind and soul. But the unholy power is drawing her closer to the edge of doom. ... Yeah, there is no demon, and at no point does it get that serious. Also, I want to point out that automatic writing is obviously not a strange new game and has been around since... I mean, I've read things about it being around in like the 1800s as like a parlor game that like the people used to do as a part of the spiritualism movement. And it's probably even older than that. But yeah, it's definitely not a strange new game that a grandma made up on this summer vacation. And in fact, grandma honestly is scarier than the ghost in this book because she's basically gaslighting both Lisa and her younger sister Carrie the whole time. Because it's grandma's idea, spoiler alert, to do the automatic writing. That's really not a spoiler, that's like the first chapter. She's the one that's like, hey, you know what's a fun game? Let's try to contact the spirit world and see if they have any messages. But the spoiler is that grandma knows the house is haunted because she grew up in it and she knows the entire history of the house. something that becomes important in the entire middle of the book, where Grandma pretends she doesn't know what Lisa's talking about when, surprise, surprise, doing a spiritualist game in a haunted house makes ghosts come out. If you've ever seen a horror movie, I mean, that's the plot of most of them, right? You play with a Ouija board or something in a haunted house, and the next thing you know, you have a real ghost problem on your hands, and that's what happens with Lisa. Now, of course, Lisa's not the one in danger. It is her younger sister, Carrie, because she's become the focal point of this spirit. Something happened to the ghost kid. I'm not going to spoil the entire mystery of the story and all the things that Grandma's keeping secret, but basically, the ghost wants Carrie. The ghost wants to kill Carrie and take her to the other side, to be with her forever. But once again, at no point is there ever anything in this book where I'm like, that's actually going to happen. A lot of things come to Lisa's aid. Lisa always seems to be one step ahead, if that makes sense. Even when it seems like it could go wrong, there's like it's not even like a last minute plot device that happens in like some pulp books, but it's just like a thing that usually happens beforehand, and it's, oh wait, I have this, or oh wait, I can do this. So yeah, there's never any real danger, or at least anything super dangerous that I thought was going to happen to Lisa and Carrie. Some other characters do get injured, but not in a way that is life-threatening. The craziest part about this whole book to me is that everyone's really cool with Grandma afterwards and are completely understanding of the fact that she kind of set them all up to be ghost fodder. Something of which she not only never takes full account of in this book, but also at one point in the book calls them all crazy for believing in ghosts because ghosts aren't real, even though she was the one that did automatic writing and brought up all these spiritualist games. That was, to be fair, that was just me having a weird, I guess, pet peeve in like a kid's book, because I'm sure if I was a kid reading this, I would be much more worried about the ghost than Grandma, but in my mind, you can leave the house, but it was Grandma who kind of set you up to be ghost bait. But either way, this book was kind of fun. It wasn't very long. I mean, it was probably about the same length as most, Fear Street books. Yeah, about 150 pages. So a decent, short novella, essentially. My copy is obviously in pretty bad shape. I believe I got this from a Take a Book, Leave a Book. These books are also in, I think they're numbered. I don't know if this is supposed to be book 2 or book 11, but I don't think they actually follow any series. That being said, I don't know if it's Dark Forces or if it's one of the other series, but I do know some of the Goosebumps-esque series do have characters they bring back from time to time, and I don't know if Dark Forces is one of those series. I probably should have researched that a little more before I started talking about it. But I mean, regardless, I doubt it would matter one way or the other. I will look out for more Bruce Coville books. I definitely want to read his Dungeons and Dragons book. But I mean, other than that, besides the fact that this was a beautiful cover and stuff, it wasn't on the level of what I would expect a Fear Street book to be. And that's one of the reasons why I keep saying I think it's for a younger audience. And that being said, I even prefer Christopher Pike books a lot of times over Fear Street books. But I mean, it all just comes down to the level of tension for me. I think if you come across one of these books, or this book in particular, you should read it if you're curious about Dark Forces and stuff like that, because it was fun, it was short. But I mean, that being said, I don't think I would go too far out of my way to track these down. This one I found for free. I just don't think it was as much fun as, a Fear Street book or something like that. That being said, check it out for yourself. Everyone's different. This book just didn't do it for me. It was fun, but the tension just wasn't there, and that's really what I needed. I needed some type of tension that was saying the main characters are going to be in some super pivotal danger, or maybe the ghost could kill someone. I don't know. you know, we're all different. I like really scary ghosts, apparently. And that, I think it's always going to be my biggest pet peeve, though, in haunted house books, is I'm probably not the person to read a lot of haunted house novels, because in the back of my head, I'm always just kind of like, why don't you leave the house? And that's really what I felt in this, especially when everyone in the house knows the house is haunted. And it's not even their main house. This is their vacation. Like, this is a family property they're vacationing at. So they could literally just leave at any time. And they chose not to, which I thought was a weird move. But once again, that is just me. If you've read this book, liked this book, or didn't like this book, or if you read more in the series that you think I should check out and actually track down, you know, let me know in the comments. I guess my final note is, you know, if you come across this book, read it, find out for yourself, see if the dark, you know, if you're a Goosebumps fan or a Fear Street fan or any of those other similar series, you know, try it, see if you like it. But, you know, don't go crazy trying to find it. Like, I don't know what these go for online. I probably won't sell this copy. I'll probably just put it in a leave a book, take a book, because, I mean, it's, if I was to list this, it would maybe be acceptable. It's a reader copy. I mean, this is pretty battered. But my point is, sometimes I see old books and even like old kids books go for crazy amounts of money. Like, this isn't a book you should spend $50, $60 on eBay, is what I'm saying. So, like, if you want to read this, go to a used bookstore. If you find it, you find it. If you don't, you don't, and keep looking. But don't go crazy over it, because I really just don't think it's worth, like, breaking your back over. Unless, of course, you're one of those people that just has to have, like, a full collection of everything and you can't stop. And I understand. I'm that way about certain things, so more power to you. And of course, if you liked this video, as always, please like and subscribe, and I will see you